the timeline for closing on a property from overseas, and what does this look like realistically. Hi guys, if you're new here, my name is Arna, attorney at law licensed to practice in Jamaica, and I'm here to help you to make your goal of acquiring property in Jamaica accessible, safe, and realistic. How long does it actually take to close on a property from overseas? This is a question my clients ask me all the time, but there is no definite answer to this question because every property is different, and therefore the process for the transaction will follow based on the type of property you're purchasing and where and who you're dealing with and the other attorney and the different players within your transaction. Let me try and break it down in general terms as best as possible. Speaking of which, on that note, I'd like to say the information presented here is for general information purposes only and not to be taken as legal or financial advice. Now, if you want legal or financial advice, please contact a professional in the respective areas. Okay, let's get into it. So let's assume you've already found a property, right? You found a perfect dream home. The first thing is to make an offer on it. Usually this can take anywhere between, like, let's say 3 to 5 days, depending on how motivated the other side is to sell. Once we confirm that your offer has been accepted, then we open your file and we start the process, reviewing agreements for sale and so forth. Now, if you don't have a TRN at this point, then that is something that might also cause a delay in the process because we have to get that first. That is why I say to people all the time, don't even make an offer. As a matter of fact, you cannot even really officially make the offer until you have the TRN because you're going to need it for the offer letter and so forth and so forth. So don't even start looking for the property unless you have your TRN ready to go. I already make a video on this on how to acquire TRN from overseas. I also assist persons as part of my package. If you're purchasing property through me, that is also something that I do for persons who are living overseas. I help you to acquire your TRN, right? Now back to the different steps. Within the same week after your offer is accepted, the draft agreement for sale is then circulated and it is reviewed by your attorney at law, and then it goes back and forth between the vendor and the purchaser depending on what is in it or depending on how suitable the terms are for each party. So this is like a little negotiation phase. Most of the time there's nothing much to change about the agreement for sale because they're pretty standard, but especially for the purchaser, you want to ensure that your attorney is looking out for things that are unique to you, or not just to look to make sure that whatever is in the agreement for sale is okay or just standard, but also to suggest to the vendor, because the vendor's attorney is usually the person who does the agreement for sale. So you want to ensure that you have an attorney on your side who is looking out for you as a purchaser and to also suggest different terms that should be included in the agreement for sale based on your own unique situation. You know what I mean? So it's not just a glance over and that's it and everything good because it's standard. No, you also need to make suggestions. Well, I also make suggestions based on my client's unique situation. Now, once your offer has been accepted, there's one very important stage that you must never skip, regardless of who, when, where, what, why you're purchasing property. Never skip your due diligence. And what do I mean by due diligence? This involves checking the title to verify that the information presenting about the property that you're planning to purchase is actually factual and true. That is if there is a title, because sometimes persons are purchasing unregistered land. So you'll approach your due diligence based on the type of the land, whether it's registered or unregistered. If it's registered, you know that you're verifying the title information. And if it's unregistered, you're going to verify the owner's information. You're going to have to do root of title, all of these things. I think I've already made a video on this about purchasing unregistered land. Refer to that video about what you need to do when purchasing unregistered land. But you want to ensure that you're doing your due diligence before you pay over a dime, not even the deposit. And due diligence for you may also include a valuation and a surveyor's report. Not all property you need to do the valuation on, because say for instance, you know, you're rich, you have your money, you don't care what the value is, you know, whatever it is, you just really want this property, so whatever the price is, you're gonna pay it, fine. You might not need to do your valuation. But one thing that I tend not to skate on, and I always encourage my clients to do, is a surveyor's report, at least, because you need to ensure that whatever is presented on paper to you, in reality, that is what you're getting. You get what I say? Okay, so now you've done your due diligence, your agreement for sale is signed, and you know what time it is. Money time, because money talk. Once the agreement for sale is signed, usually you have to pay your deposit. So that's what you're doing. You're coordinating your finances. As a matter of fact, your finances should be coordinated from even before you think about buying property, because this is a very expensive venture, right? So you're coordinating your wire transfers, you know, making sure information match with who you're sending funds to, and so forth. At this point, your attorney may also be exchanging letters of undertaking, especially if there's a bank involved, like if you're going through a mortgage and so forth. So now, by now, we're in month 2, like the middle of month 2 there. But don't ask me how I reach month 2. I've lost track with counting the weeks, but based on the process that I know, like the smooth processes, I know that by now at this point we'll be in month 2, right? And looking forward towards completion. So at this time, this is where you'll be required to pay over the balance to complete the sale, or to complete the purchase rather. And then, you know, all the documentation will be double checked, stamped, signed, the whole works. Vendor's attorney, who usually have carriage of sale, will be doing their thing, you know, lodging documents at stamp office, NLA, titles office, the whole works, right? This will usually take, say, maybe another 2 to 3 weeks for documents to come back, and then now at that point they're going to be requesting that you pay the balance to complete the transfer and so forth. So funds are now released according to the agreement, and then now once that is done, you know, everything is stamped, signed, sealed. Your name upon title, and you're a big property owner now. So by now we're supposed to get in at either the end of month 2 or middle of month 3, or it could be end of month 3 as well. But this is just a smooth process. This is, guys, what I'm giving you now is just a very high level of what a smooth transaction would look like. But keep in mind that everybody's situation is different, and these things can take like more than 3 months up to even 6 months. It just depends, okay?